Hello, good afternoon. I'm so excited to be here. What's life without love? I mean, today, let's show ourselves some love. Today is Workers' Day. I'm wishing you a happy Workers' Day. With all the work we're doing, we deserve a pat on the back. So a whole day to celebrate workers. Happy new month and happy Workers' Day. And yes, so today is the second edition of the Instagram Live series organized by African Alliance, and I'm so excited. I can already see people here. Thank you for joining in. I know it's going to be really fun and engaging because I'm not alone. I have you, my wonderful audience, and we're going to be joined by a special guest. Now, let's just see if today is your first time of tuning into this Instagram Live series. Let me see by a wave of hand. If it's your first time, wave. We love newcomers. So let me see those waves coming in. Now, if you're a returning viewer, that means you came last week, and last week was amazing. Like, if you missed it, don't worry. There are nuggets of wisdom that was shared. It's all on the African Alliance page. So you can actually catch up with what you missed last week. But if you did come last week, let me see a thumbs up. Yes, I can see people. Yes. Thank you. So first things first, let's get the title posted of today's topic. And today's topic, I'm going to be posting it now. And yes, it's managing your personal and family finances during a pandemic. And I'm pinning that comment there now. And I hope you can see it. Managing your personal and I hope you can see it now. Managing your personal and family finances during a pandemic. So that's what we're going to be discussing. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in. And towards the end, I'll be taking the questions and our guest will be answering. But please, let's just try and listen, because you never know. That question you might be wanting to ask might already be answered during the conversation. So my name is Isabella Akinshaye, and I'll be your host this beautiful afternoon. And it's now time to make welcome our special guest. So what I want you to do is, once I start describing her, I want you to just start sending lots of hearts. Let her feel the love. Let's make her feel welcome. When it comes to money, this woman knows her numbers. She has a strategy to help you stretch that naira, that dollar. She is a money strategist. She also is a money behavior strategist. She's a certified financial education instructor and the founder of Money Map Academy. Hey, this one is going to be very hot. Please let's make welcome Mrs. Tolu Dima Okoje. So the conversation. So it's going to be a hot one. Managing your personal and family finances during a pandemic. Yeah, she's looking so beautiful. So good to have you here. Happy Workers' Day to you. I hope you're having a great afternoon, and we can't wait for your session.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here, Isabella. I'm so excited to be on this platform to share with us. And I'm really looking forward to interacting, answering your questions, answering the audience questions so that we can actually build up our knowledge base about money, finances, investing, insurance, everything put together. And we can actually, build up our ability to earn more, be more in this new future that we're going into.
I can't wait. So when I looked at your description, your bio, you called yourself a money behavior strategist. I've never heard of that before. So I was now wondering that, when you're coming up with a strategy for money, what are key factors to
Mhm.
consider? Because you talk about strategy for other things, but we never really think about strategy for our personal or our family finances.
Right? And it's terrible. I find it terrible. So, I mean, you kind of said it all because my own journey started with my husband losing his source of income, source of livelihood many years ago. We had a mortgage over our heads, all right? And it was, I mean, it's probably going to be similar to the situation a lot of people are going to find themselves in today, which is why I'm excited that we're talking about this now and the opportunities available to them by several brands out there, one of which is African Alliance, for example. So what happened? Let me take you a little bit back. Basically, we realized that we had heard about it's good to invest, it's good to save. We knew all this in our head, like, you know, it's the way, you know, be good to your neighbor so your neighbor will be good to you, all that. But in translating it to actual actions, we saw that we were not behaving towards that in a positive way if we're doing it at all. So it was more a case of what is stopping us from doing this, where we're having things that are hindering us in terms of culturally, mentally, apart from financially, which is where most people get stuck, but culturally, mentally, knowledge-wise, something was stopping us. And then we realized that we needed to have a strategy around the money. Because if we didn't have a strategy around the money, especially at that time when my husband lost his work and we had that mortgage over our heads, then definitely we wouldn't like where we were. So I started training with that. I had a financial mentor at the time. I was training with him in corporates as well before we moved to individuals and entrepreneurs. And I just realized I was able to see that underlying issue across board with most people. I saw that with myself and my spouse. I saw that with clients. I saw that with corporates. And so basically that's how we coined the word, because I was like, totally will create a strategy for your money. She will tell you how you're behaving, you know, in a different way, contrary to what you say you want to achieve. And that was it, really. That was it.
Wow. I mean, a lot of people can relate to this story because this pandemic, COVID-19, has meant some people are having salary cuts. Some people might be out of work and they might be thinking, what are we going to do? But this is also finding that silver lining in this storm cloud. So what factors should you consider when you're putting together this money strategy, whether you're doing it for your individual finances or maybe as a group for your family, like you mentioned, you and your husband?
All right. Okay, so if I hear you correctly, so what are the elements or things we should put in, factor in when we're doing the strategy, right? You want to know my
Yes.
traits? Okay, let me share it to you.
Don't we all?
Okay, so first thing first, there nobody. I always say nobody gets on a bus not knowing where they want to go to, right? You don't get on the bus and then after you're like, by the way, where are you going to? And you say Ojo Elegba, like, I'm going to Beggar. Like, you know, it's showing that you're not on top of what's going on around you, right? So the first thing to do is actually let's clearly articulate what it is we want our money to achieve for us. What's your money goal? All right. So for a lot of us, it's I want to be rich. Or when someone tells me I want money, I'm like, fine, I'll give you 5 naira. I'm like, is this money? I said, yes, according to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is money. But you have not been able to put a number to it, a figure to it, clarity to what it is you've said you want to achieve. All right. So the very first thing is we do need to know where you want to go with your money. So what is your money goal? Right? Very important point, very big point. It seems very simple, but some people want to be rich. What does rich mean? Another 100,000 naira, another 60,000 naira, another 1 million, a 5 million, 100 million. What is it that we need to quantify what that is? And a lot of people don't have clarity on what that is. So that's the first thing. Am I making sense so far?
Yes, a money goal. I was just thinking about it. Like, and that goal can be something we all discuss if it's a family. So, mommy's money
Yes.
goal might be different from daddy's money goal, and the kids might just have a money goal so they can buy the latest PS. So, having that specific destination, wow, a lot to think about.
Yes, fantastic. So you got it. In fact, you coined it beautifully. So let me, I was going to say the next thing is why. So let me use my personal example because people can relate with stories, right? So as a family, when
Yes.
my husband lost his job, we now had to agree that, you know what, right now, what is our priority for what's left of our finances and going forward in the short, medium term? For us, our family financial goal or money goal was let's pay this mortgage off. All right, let's pay this mortgage So it wasn't a case of I'm working to do one thing, my husband is working to do one thing, and you're having conflict in the marriage, in the family, you know. And what it is that you've actually not have a clear, aligned, agreed upon money goal, if that makes any sense. So that's
It
the first
does.
step. The second step is why you want to do that. And the reason why we say why, oh, I see coming in here. The reason why we say why is because there's a popular example one of my mentors likes to say. So he says, look, there are people jogging on, what's the place called? Lekki Koyi Bridge, for example. And you know, some of us do it because it's a fad. Some of us do it because our doctor have told us that we don't run 5Ks every day. Our health is at risk. Something might happen to us, that sort of thing, right? So there is a motivation between why some people can decide today I'm not doing it. And there's a reason why some people are going to decide to do it. And the reason we say this is because there has to be, as part of the things that trigger your behavior, your response to money, there has to be something that is making you say, I just need to do this, even when it's not looking how I want it to look. What do I need? Why do I need to keep doing this? And I mean, it's like when people say, what's your why? So for example, with my husband and I, the reason we wanted to pay off our mortgage was initially because we're so scared of losing that mortgage that, oh my God, somebody's going to chase us out of this house. We're in trouble. And we don't have mortgage insurance. What are we going to do about this? You know, we're in trouble. What are we going to do? So that was the first reason why we were excited to do that. The second reason was we're like, oh, we even forgot. If we are paying this thing for so many years, it also means that we're not able to buy other assets if we're not careful. And this is what we're going to use our working life for. So those were the things that were, you know, triggering us and motivating us when we're seeing our friends buying cars, going on holidays, and we're looking like we just wanted to suffer ourselves, right? So those are motivating us to say, keep at this plan. Your strategy is working for you, because as we decided to reduce the principal, the amount we were paying monthly to the mortgage company, it was exhilarating, it was exciting, we were happy. You know, no one could take that joy from us. And soon it became a test. In fact, part of the reason this business started was that, oh, how did you guys do it? You lost your job, you had a mortgage, you paid it all, then you started business. Oh, what happened? How come you guys turned around your lives around like that? It was basically because we had a strategy, and we had also identified things that could prevent us from achieving it. Okay, so at least that's two big things. It looks like a small, but there are definitely two big things that, as an individual, as a couple in the marriage, you should clarify what it is that is your money goal, and then also be clear on what it is that is motivating you to achieve that, because there will always be distractions. There could be distractions from work, from job, from family, from other things, but having a clear, you know, behind your mind reason for why you're doing it can keep you on the goal. Like, keep doing this, keep doing this. I hope that's been able to.
I love that goal, because you know, when you think about debt, once you can start getting it out, that basically getting it out of the way, like you said, it just frees you up. And also you now have an investment vehicle, so you now have real estate, you've gone on the property ladder. And I like how you mentioned the fact that there are going to be distractions. So if you go to the bus stop, using your example, and you hear other people calling other destinations beggar, but because that one is coming, then you now forget that you're going to Ojuelegba. So definitely always go back to that why, and even when it changes, still go back to it, you know, revisit that goal. So now some people are really relating to your story when it comes to losing jobs. Now, if they extend this lockdown, it might mean that some people are totally out of work. It might mean some people are going to experience even more salary cuts. What can they do now to stretch that naira to meet their basic needs, shelter, feeding, and any other maybe investments they might want to make?
All right. So there are three ways we could look at it. So there's from the top, from the bottom, and from the middle. Okay. So I'll run through the three of them, and then I'll explain each of them one after the other. All right. Okay. So the first one is, you definitely want to cut down on cost. It's the least popular, least favorite approach. But the truth is, when you're spending 100,000 and you tell yourself, so I mean, for anyone still getting a job, or still getting salary, or still able to get some income running in, I always tell them, tell yourself you have half of that, because you may be paid fully this month, for example, no, rather the month of April, but that may not happen for you in May, because the truth is, for some people, they got paid full salary in March. They didn't get full salary in April. So if I had said then, and if they had said, oh, Tolu, I can't just do that, the reality is they probably found themselves at the end of April with half of that pay, if anything at all. So you do need to cut costs at the one end, all right? It's least approach, but it actually has this compounding benefits, because if you had 500,000 or 500,000 coming in every month, and then you have 2 months that money came in, if you told yourself that you're living on half, it means in that 2 months you spend 500 instead, 250 the first month, 250 the second month. You actually have 250 for another third and fourth month, in the event that nothing came in the third and fourth month. So that's why that is very important as a backup, like worst case scenario, has something like that. And I'm assuming, for example, this person unfortunately doesn't have maybe job loss insurance, for example, or doesn't have some safety net in emergency funds or something of the sort to buffer that. So that's something you want to do. So that's one end. The second end of that is saying there is something you can do to earn skills now. All right. I had someone reach out to me not too long ago, and I said, you know what? The truth is, everyone has a skill that can be leveraged on it this time. Already, it looks like Zoom. I've been using Zoom for how many years now with my clients, and all of a sudden, it looks like as if from the age to the very young, everybody now knows Zoom. I at least know Zoom now because of online screening. Our bosses, the madams and our guys at the top, they're all using Zoom now. It looks like it's sudden, but the truth is there's likely going to be an explosion in the digital arena, for example, right? And that is an opportunity for some of us that have been, some of us that African memes and all these funny jokes and all that. People are monetizing that and turning that into opportunity to sell, showcase for other brands, to help people in their business to go digital, helping people to market online, and I'm not saying it's only online. I mean, for a teacher, for example, this is an opportunity where the school is saying we can't pay anymore, or we can't continue. You can actually say, how can I teach online, for example? So it's not just about, oh, I don't want to know how to do a website. It's not about that. It's saying, how can you leverage the skill you currently have and say, what else can I do to sell that? Because at the end of the day, the reason why you won't get paid at all is that you're offering a service or a product, and in exchange for that, you're getting money. All right. So money is not actually the big thing. What is the big thing is that skill, that product, that service that you are offering to someone. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We have to just start leveraging the digital space to use our skills.
Yes. Then the third one is actually, it's not very popular, but that's why I'm glad we're doing this. It's actually insurance. And I say that because the insurance products out there that we unfortunately don't know about, and that's why I'm glad we're doing this, is something that can actually help you buffer in this period. I've talked again about how people have job loss insurance. Some of us have some other form of, that is the structured one. Some other people have unstructured forms of that. And that is something that, you can always reach out to in times like this to say, thank God I have this, because if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have had anything else to fall back on. So I would even say to everyone, as much as possible, at least try to approach this situation from 2 points. All right. So don't just say, all I'm going to do is cut costs. No, don't do that. Or all I'm going to do is expand on the opportunities to earn more. Don't do that. I would recommend that, because we don't know how long we need to ride this out. Okay. And the truth is, we're going to ride it out and we're going to come back on top. We had the recession before. We had the 2008 global meltdown. We survived it. This is 2020. So we're going to survive 2020. And we're going to see each other in 2025, 2030. So it's going to be okay. Stay positive, stay mentally, alert and aware, and don't be distracted by the fact that you are being pulled back against your plan. We have plans, and something happens to you where we keep adjusting. All right. So that's the third one, basically, on how we can address that.
I love all 3 points. You have to cut your costs and live on like half of your salary, because that might be a reality, and that's people's realities. Leverage your skill using the digital space. And insurance. After this live session, you can go and check out the different products African Alliance has for you. So now, what have you seen in your experience? We've been in this whole COVID-19 for over a month. 5-6 weeks. What is the biggest money mistake people are making?
I think the biggest money mistake people are making is that they're not talking about it. So a lot of couples are not talking about and saying, what is happening? What do we need to cut back on? What would be the repercussion if something happens your job or my job? What is the repercussion if I'm not able to open my business? The government has already said some businesses will continue to be shut down or will not operate. There is an impact for that for anyone in that sector. So I think the biggest thing we're not doing is we're not talking about it. It's almost like that bad dream you don't want to talk about because you don't want it to happen. But that doesn't always stop it from happening. But the truth is, if you are productive, if you are proactive, you know, you can make a bad situation, you can make a worse situation good. It might, I mean, it might not be the good that we prefer, but the truth is it could have been so much worse if we were unprepared, if we're not thinking, if we're not working with people who could say, you know what, absolutely stop doing that project and start doing that thing you wanted to do before, dust it up. That person you wanted to work with to teach you how to make multiple streams of income from home, start doing that. Okay, so we're not talking, and we're not talking, you're not thinking through opportunities that could even be available to you here, because the truth is some people have banked these 5-6 weeks, believe it or not, they have banked in this period. And I'm not only talking about people who are selling face masks, you know, and healthcare. I'm talking about other people in different sectors that have been created, or they have leveraged already existing platforms that they see that the market is going towards. But if you're not talking about it, you're not thinking about it, you might be missing out opportunities that may be available to you. I mean, if we're not talking about this now, some people will not even be aware that, there's something else you can do about insurance to protect you. For instance, okay. So there's so much we're not doing when we're not talking about money, and this is an age-long problem, because I still remember collecting my first pay and I gave it to my father. He blessed it, gave it back to me, and that was the end. I was like, oh, so I went to school to collect money. We don't talk about it. People get married and we don't talk about it. Just expect you are the man. You bring the money in. We're not talking about it enough, and that, I think, is the biggest mistake we're making during the pandemic, and we've been making even before it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are still going to continue making it after, and it's going to create conflict that could have been avoided, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love how you're tying it back to marriage, because sometimes you might have a reversal of roles. Maybe the primary breadwinner loses their job, and then you just expect everyone to just get with the program. There'll be a lot of questions. So let's role play. So how do you bring up the topic of money when, I mean, COVID-19 is there? You just be like, honey, so today, hey, I want to gist you about money. Like, give us pointers, like how do we broach that topic, and then what are things we should be asking? Because some people can be a bit like, why do you want to know how much I'm earning? So you want to do what? Or, okay, I will settle the bills, don't worry how the money is coming.
I mean, you brought a very interesting dynamic to it, and it's something I addressed even yesterday when I did a video. But so there are different ways to it, because when you have a couple, you know, that don't share information about what they're earning, that can make it even worse, because the truth is you don't have the big picture. You're assuming. And I mean, one of the things I always tell people that, you know, the truth is, if you're earning 500K, your madam does not know. She can very well assume that what you're earning is 1 million. So she's making demands on you to the tune of 600K, because in her mind, she has 600K is all she's asking for out of 1 million that she has assumed that you have. When in fact, all you have is less than what she's assuming that you have. And that sometimes is a problem with not being transparent. So where she's able to cut back on, she's resisting or rejecting that ideology, because in her mind, you want to cheat her. You understand? Because she's assuming that you want to enjoy yourself, and cut her out of the enjoyment, cut her children out of the enjoyment. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work the opposite way too, where the man is saying, my husband provides everything, he doesn't need to know what I'm earning because he's the man of the house. It's the same thing, you know, and it can cause the friction when the man is thinking, I saw her buying lace, and we needed to buy fridge, and she's asking me for money for fridge, but she's buying lace, you know. And those are the issues when you don't have transparency, when you're not working as a team. You know, if you're not agreed, you know, how can two work together if they're not agreed? That is an issue. All right. So again, going back to the family, how do you broach this conversation? I mean, there are different pointers. How would you broach any conversation about your plans for the future, TV? You don't make it seem like, I mean, there's something I've learned in marriage. You don't say, baby, we have to talk. That is like the worst way of approaching it. My husband let me know that he would have heart palpitations every time I used to say that when we first got married, you know, and I learned to realize that I needed to use some wisdom. I mean, there's no perfect way because people are different and all that. But conversations from, oh, like today example, one way I did was, oh, like, hey honey, have you heard that video about that financial institution that was saying that they're going to cut back on their staff? And it's like, yes, can you imagine whatever, like, what if something like this happened at my place of work? What if something happened at your place of work? Like, God forbid, but it's better. What they said, wisdom is profitable to direct. What do you think we could do? Because I've been thinking that we could do XYZ, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just suggesting. What do you think? That could be an easy. I mean, I've brought a third. It's not a case of I'm losing my job, no, and all that, but it's more a case of I brought some general public information as a starting point, and that is one of the discussions I've had with my spouse this morning, and that's how we came from it. And because we've experienced job loss, we can actually identify with the issues with it. We actually also know people around us who are experiencing it now, with people we didn't expect to happen to. So it's also part of that reminder, like, oh my God, this happened to X person. That person is such a high flyer. We didn't expect it. So it means nobody is safe. Is there something we can start doing now? What can we do? In fact, I've been thinking that should I dust my books and go back to doing that thing for my clients? They're always disturbing me. Then I was doing shakara. I'm thinking maybe I should go back to that as an alternative income source. What do you think, darling? So I mean, because we have different kinds of people who, we need to be mindful of that. Some people are disciplined enough. They actually have the way they have monthly prayer meeting, fasting. They have monthly money meetings, money dates, like dates about money. Like, okay, let's talk about this month. How well did we do on budgeting? How well did we do on giving? How well did we do on saving, etc. And all that. But it varies from family to family. But generally, looking for someone's easy points and knowing that person's behavior, because I know, for example, my husband doesn't like long talk. So I learned the hard way that don't give him Excel spreadsheets. Make it brief, keep it simple, keep it sweet, and pointers, and big picture. We've got the point, and he's running with it. It takes some time. Again, that's where the behavior thing comes in. It can take some time to understudy, and get to understand the better way to approach this. I hope that's been helpful. Okay,
Michael. Very, very helpful. And I can see comments here. I can see Michael Oyelowo saying really good points. And I'm also thinking about people who are still single, managing their personal finances, and some of them might be thinking of going into relationships to marry. Like, one of the things you said was being very open about your financial status, and an idea that popped into my mind was just like how you have vision boards. If you find it hard to discuss, let's talk now. We need to talk. But if you have a vision board and there's a part of it that has to do with money, then you can gradually begin to discuss things like, what debt do you have? How much can we plan with? What's important to you? And like that very first point that you made, what is your money goal and what is the why? So I think definitely these points, people can definitely relate to them. So I think I'll take you back to one of the points you made earlier on, and it's something that people like to run away from, and that's insurance. Because in African tradition, we'll say, God forbid, it cannot happen to me or happen to my enemy. But COVID-19 has happened to all of us. And some people are thinking like, there must be a meme somewhere like, when you should have taken that insurance and you didn't take it. Okay. So like, what advice do you have for people who are now thinking, you know what, maybe I should have taken that insurance policy out?
So I think, I think that's a fantastic point. One of the problems we have with money behavior generally is that there's so much wrong information, poor perception of things concerning finances. So even outside of insurance, from investing to saving, people have the whole, I don't want to lose my money, or I rather keep it. I mean, some people are still keeping money under their mattress. I don't understand, or I just want to be seeing it in my account. Let me be seeing it where I can see it, and that's it. And unfortunately, it is not the best approach to, achieving what you say is your life's goals, and I always say there's always a cost to that. So it's great that you brought that up. And insurance, definitely, most people don't realize, is actually a risk management tool. All right. And what I mean, let me explain what I mean by that. Let me make it simple. So in the same way that you are saying that I'm pushing forward here, you want to have a fallback plan. You want to have a plan that if anything happens, you're not caught worse off. You're not caught in a really bad situation. And and that is how you say you are managing the risk, that in case as I'm going up and I fall back, I want to make sure there's a cushion there to capture me and make sure that when I fall, it breaks my fall and I don't have to hit the ground. That is actually what insurance is about. It is managing the risk that in event something happens. I hope you're getting me. I'm feeling like, I'm a
Oh,
part of it.
yes.
In the event
Yes.
something happens, you are not in a terrible situation. In fact, if you're not careful, you might be in not almost better, but you're not feeling like something happened to me, no shaking kind of thing. So that's what insurance really is. And a lot of people don't realize is that it's such an important tool for people who want to build wealth and the wealthy people. I always tell people that there's a lot of risk management, and insurance is one of the risk management tools that investors or wealthy people actually use. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of people keep thinking is when I'm a billionaire. But the truth is, too many things can happen between today and when you're a billionaire. So the earlier you start factoring in these small habits, the better. I mean, right now the government makes it compulsory to have insurance on your car, and it's only when that event materializes and you're like, they paid me money, I never believed it, and I've seen a lot of people react like, they believe in insurance a little bit because when they have some experience here and there, they got the payout. So now they're feeling like, oh, and I always thought insurance was a scam, but it's looking like it's actually not a scam. So you now realize that when your car got damaged or stolen or whatnot, God forbid, and you got that payout, you realize that, oh, I don't feel like, oh, I have to find all that money to buy it back. And that is what risk management is about. And half the time, to be honest with you, I always tell people, see, that money you don't want to pay. If I check your budget, if I check your bank statement, I will see that you spend that money on something that does not make sense and you've forgotten about. So how much more for something that would break your fall in the event fall down? That's how I like to look at it.
I love the way you put it, that risk management, because when you're walking down the stairs, you don't know, you might not trip, but what if you trip? Won't you at least wish that there's some kind of mattress waiting to catch you down? You just hit your head on the ground. So that risk management, and I think it's important that we have these tough conversations, because you said it, people don't like to talk about money, but I love the way you've broken down insurance. Now, I think one thing has become very certain is that people have seen the need to have an emergency fund because of times like this. We always talk about it, but we're like, why do I really need to have 6 months of my salary? Why do I really need to? Nothing is going to happen. I beg. Or when that big money comes, then I worry about emergency fund. But what can we do starting from the 1st of May, starting from today, in building that safety net, that cushion, so that if it's another COVID-19 or another one, at least we have that rest of mind?
All right. I think that's a fantastic question. And I am quite sad about it because a lot of times I've seen people ready to invest and just saying, just let's know what we're investing in. Let's know what we're investing in. And when I said, I'm sorry, I really need to be sure and clear that you have your emergency funds down. And, it's almost like, forget about that one. What's that? They say we should earn interest on everything. And, the excitement, the energy with which they fight back can be very powerful. There's no other way to put it. But like you rightly said, the times we're in has shown the importance of that, because what most people will find out is you find yourself in a situation where you are now liquidating or selling off that investment at a price that you probably are not comfortable with a price that's probably less than what you bought it for. And it would begin to make sense why it was important for you to have had those funds aside. And I say that to emphasize the importance, because I personally don't like to work with clients who refuse or will not verify that they have that. Because when that time comes, the thing is, they're going to say, I'm sorry, I need to sell this thing today because I cannot have investment and be hungry. That is what it is, and that is unfortunate. So this is part of where, having plans, having a goal and plan is very important. Being strategic about it, it's so important. But because we don't want to dwell on the past and we're going forward, what it will be now is that from today onwards, you need to start learning to put there's more to this strategy. It's not just I'm saying it. There's a way to actually work it out, but let me try and simplify it. So first things first, for some of us, the cost of our lifestyle is going to change. So for some people, yes, it's going to remain same. I mean, to be like nothing happened. So you are the lucky ones, the easier ones, but they don't tend to be in the majority. But for some of us, our lifestyle is going to be adjusted downwards. So again, what you even need for cushy funds is going to be adjusted as well, all things being equal. So it looks more, it looks like a lower figure than the figure that would have been with your initial lifestyle. First point to note. Second point to note is you want to start near aggressively putting money aside prudently. And what that means is for every 1 month, this is how I like to call it. For every month that you collect money as salary, as a paid employee, government collects their own. First off, they don't ask you questions. It's already net of taxes. Background. You're a Christian. Next thing you do is you are a tight believing person. If you are, I mean, not every Christian believes it. You don't explain anything to your church. You give them their own 10% out of the net of taxes. Background. No explanation, no question, no story. So also start putting aside some funds out of what's left again into what will be your emergency fund. You want to start building it up. If you happen to get, if I want to say, if there's any mistake and bonus enters the matter, it's not about, let me now enjoy this month. No, it's about, let me now top of that fund. If you're doing side hustle and you're able to survive on what you already have, don't use that side hustle money again to say, let me breathe. No, it's ideal that you use that to top of that fund, because even the side hustle is side hustle. It's hustle that is not guaranteed. It's not a guaranteed 31st of every month you collect it, okay? So that's something we can begin to start doing now. Start putting aside money out of what you currently earn to that emergency fund account and put it somewhere that is not accessible. Put it somewhere that, I mean, I don't call it emergency fund, I call it cushion fund. But more importantly, it's not money that, you know, you can just mistakenly go into a store and then you just put in your ATM, like someone possessed you, and you put in your PIN. And all the money you were saving for emergency fund has now disappeared. Sister, brother, no. That is not what we're talking about, okay? It has to be money that is not accessible to you. It's in an interest-bearing account, or you know, one of the investment opportunities that's available with the financial institutions. The point is, it's not accessible to you, but you keep topping it up until you get to a point where you calculated that if this is my cost of living for 1 month, and this is how much I need for 5 months or 6 months, whatever you have calculated as the funds you require till you get a better paying job or whatnot, then that is what you can start doing from today. The one you collected yesterday, last week, 25th, 27th, whatever day it was, start doing that now, because we really don't know what 2020 is going to be. The way it's looking, it's not looking like it's going to be great. It looks like it's going to get bad or worse before it gets better, but it will get better. But before it gets better, you want to be good. You know, you may not be the best, but you want to be good. You don't want to go out begging. You don't want to find yourself in a worse situation, the absolute worst situation. But if you start that discipline of tax has collected their own, tax is being paid, my own, I need to protect myself as well. Do that, and I'm sure you'll be so thankful and glad you did that along the line. Send me a testimony and tell me that you did that and it worked out for you.
Hey, testimony. This is some serious money sense that's just falling on some people's heads. And I can see all the hearts coming up. I can see the waves. Thank you so much. Everyone who has tuned in. Today is all about managing your personal and family finances during a pandemic. We've already had such an engaging conversation. And I know some of you, you're already itching to put those questions down. Please, let's have the questions. We want to get as many questions answered. We have a beautiful guest, so knowledgeable. She's a money behavior strategist, and that your money can have strategy. I'm learning so much, and I'm going to do a recap towards the end. So let's have the questions coming in. Let's have your feedback. We'll really appreciate it. And there's something you said about working with clients, and you said you won't work with people who don't have their emergency fund first in terms of investments. And it reminds me of a story that someone told me. And you know, all these people that have all these get rich quick schemes of bring your money and I will double it in 3 days and all of that. Even them will tell you, these scammers will tell you that only bring the money for trading or for any of these things based on money that you are not doing anything with it. As in, this is free money, meaning you've taken care of all the important things, so that in case the money goes, you know that your major things is true.
Yeah.
Because some people, you'll be thinking that, what is the sense in this? But even if other people, they are telling you that any money you're going to invest, make sure everything else, including your cushion fund, your emergency fund, your rainy day fund, whatever you call that fund, is intact. That way, because some investments might go well, some are low risk, high risk, medium risk. And one of the investments we talked about was definitely insurance. So right now we're going to take some questions, and I think I saw a question here coming, and he said, you mentioned how you combined efforts with your husband to come out of a bad money situation. Can you advise full-time housewives who may be caught up with this in this situation and do not know how to support? So that's
an excellent question, and it's a very valid one, because a lot of people might find themselves in that situation right now. And where my mind is going with that is, we all actually add value one way or the other, right? And we don't. I think the problem is we discount ourselves. We don't value ourselves as much, and sometimes it helps to have people around us that encourage us and actually help us identify what it is we bring to the table. So let me give an example of something that kind of person could do. Several, actually. So one of it now is that where the government has said, and a lot of people are already preparing, that we're not probably going to go to school like we used to at this rate. And we're already discussing homeschooling at this rate. In many parts of the world, one person is dropping one job if they still have a job, but the person who doesn't have work for now, depending on the family dynamics, is saying, so who's going to stay back home and train our kids? Who's going to stay back home and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do? Because it's online thing, you can't leave them online. We don't know what they're doing. Before you know it, they've opened YouTube, opened some other website, they've gone, right? So you can also add back, because the alternative to that was paying school fees. It's very possible that homeschool demanding, and in lieu of school fees, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do school fees, because people are they're having online versions, they're having discounts here and there, and different discussions are happening. Some schools have said, look, until this lockdown stops, we're not able to take a decision. But that is one place you can add value, where the kids are able to keep up with their educational standards, and you're supporting in that role. So you're an alternative to the lesson teacher, you're an alternative to the school system. And as a matter of fact, even in Nigeria, I know people who homeschool their kids. This was before the pandemic, homeschooling. So that is one way you are bringing value that cannot be discounted, because that is something that if we were to count the cost of doing that alternatively, that is a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of effort on your part too, and not everyone is actually skilled or has the temperament to do that, but that's one thing. Number two, staying home still also means that you're able to do certain things. For example, in this same pandemic and post the pandemic, I know someone who actually also works in a financial institution and said, I was broke, I don't have money, I didn't know what to do, but I just realized everybody was saying, I miss the chicken from this place, I miss the Chinese rice from this place. And the next thing I started doing was I cook Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, order the day before by this cut-off time, and I will have dispatch the food over to you. And that person was adding value to the family by being able to use the same skill set they had in the house, being excellent cooks, cooking first for family and friends free, before they realize that this is an opportunity. People are, food is moving left, right, and center here, and that's it. I'm just saying that we discounted sometimes that this is stuff we can do, but it's always been there. So don't feel like because you are home, you cannot bring economic value to your house. That's wrong. I was saying the other day that I'm so excited that one of my neighbors is a retired mom of 3 grown adults, and she was bored and she said, I need to do something. And in this pandemic, she went online and worked with some millionaire brand and all that, housewife brand, and learned how to be a virtual assistant. So she's home working as a virtual assistant and earning money for the household. So what is the point I'm trying to say? That your being home does not necessarily mean you cannot be productive or you cannot have economic power. You can actually do a lot of things at home, offline, and in fact online, to be able to support your family and bring value. All right, even if for whatever reason your spouse decides don't do this and all that, you actually are bringing a lot of value just being a homemaker. I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. So I hope this has answered that question.
Oh, definitely has answered it. And I think this is also a call to all of us who contribute in one way in the home to actually value the work we do. Because if we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're teaching, we're taking care of the home, if you put Naira signs to it, you will see how much you're actually saving. And by that, you're contributing to the bottom line of the home. So we have another question, and this is from Bade Momo, and it says, what would you advise someone whose basic living budget is almost all of their salary? Invest the little or save for emergencies?
All right. Oh, okay. Let me give you options of what to do because that's not what I was thinking of. What I was thinking of first is so two angles, right? A lot of us, and I say this because even, yesterday when I was doing an interview with my husband to celebrate our wedding anniversary. By the way, he said something
Happy
about
wedding anniversary.
thank you very much. He said something, he was like, he said the same thing that he assumed that what we were earning was enough to cover just our living budget, and he was like, he didn't see any way where there's nothing to cut off because as far as he was concerned, all of this is basic, this is basic living. So the first point is when he now began to track his expenses, he began to see that there were a lot of things that are not so basic. There were a lot of things that he could actually cut down on and cut back off. And I mean, it was unfortunate that it also took the job loss to trigger his behavior subsequently to be able to say, you know what, really, what is basic? So let's first of all be careful that what we call basic is actually basic. Because somebody earns 100,000 and says it's not enough for my basic. Somebody will earn 500,000 and say it's not enough for my basic. Someone else will earn 1 million and still say it's not enough for my basic. Again, you can see that basic can be very relevant, very subjective. So let's first of all check and see that it really is basic and you don't have options. From something as simple as carpooling, when you say it's not possible, I have to take bus or I have to buy for something as simple as carpooling to something as simple as making your food the day before and you warm it up in the morning and go to work instead of eating out. So be careful that what you have said is basic is in fact basic. Number one. Number two, you may not be earning as much as you can. I remember you asked me a question earlier where I said there are different ways to approach this, from the bottom, cutting cost, from the top, earning more, right? So, and then insurance. So again, as long as you're being paid something somewhere and you say it's only covering something basic, right? Also say, how else can I add value? We're just giving an example now of a homemaker being able to add value even while being at home with our skill set of being cleaning the home and cooking and being able to access the internet. It's also very possible that you can earn more money by being able to add more value through products or services that you can offer in your immediate environment as your current place of work or online. All right. So you want to explore all of that. And I'm saying this because, yes, you do have to prioritize ideally your emergency, your risk management, insurance, and all that, generally speaking, before investing or doing both at the same time if your income can now accommodate it all. All right. So be careful again. Don't get distracted with basic. See how you can earn more. Then definitely you want to do emergencies, because if you do your investments first, when you run into a tight situation, you are going to liquidate that investment. If you're unfortunate, it's also in a bad time, that is a generally bad time, then investments value, generally speaking, have come down. So you don't want to be caught like that. Okay. So I hope I've answered that question. I think I have. Yes, I have.
Yes, you've answered the question, and I can see some great comments here. Style Bargains Niger saying great insights. Noye 9035, very helpful. I can see all the thumbs up. Ife Sinachi _ oh, thank you. Let all these comments be coming. For those of you that are joining us late, where have you been? You've missed, but don't worry, I'll do a brief recap. And like I said earlier on, this session will be available for 24 hours, so you can actually watch it in the stories. So even if you came late, you'll be able to catch up with everybody. Happy Workers' Day to all of you that are just joining us. So a brief recap from our special guest. She's a money behavior strategist, as in money has a behavior, and she now knows the strategy for it. And she talked about having a money goal. Your money goal can be, I want to be rich, but what does rich mean? Is it 1 million? Is it 1 billion? Is it having a house? Is it paying off your basic? She also said your why. Why is it that you want to have this money? Why? What is driving your motivation? She also gave these very good money tips when she said you should cut your costs, like live like you're living on half salary, because who knows, in this pandemic that might become your reality. She said we should leverage our skills using the digital space. So maybe you're a teacher, what about teaching online? She spoke about insurance, and you're here on our page, African Alliance, and we have insurance products to help you. So even after this session, you can do your research, you can slide into the DM, it's wide open, we'll answer your questions. So insurance is there. And then this one, talk about money. Many people don't like to talk about money. If it's just about a movie, Ashwebi, wedding, Lagbaja did this and that. But when it comes to money, and you can be creative about it. You can, you don't need to go directly and say, we have to talk. You can be like, oh, so I saw this. What do you think about doing this if I add to this skill or if I bring in this income? And then she said we should add value. So whether you're a housemaker or a homemaker or a housewife, house husband, you are bringing economic value. That food you are cooking, it is naira signs that you are saving the family. So these are all the points. So I think we still have just enough time for one last tip. So this is Workers' Day. What tip do you have for us workers?
Okay, I think that's an excellent question. And so this is what I've told myself today. Personally, I have said I must look for how I can bring, because I mean, at the end of the day, most of us are in quote working for the Benjamin, right? We're working to get the money. And in whatever work we do, we're offering a product or a service. So it's not just I went to, and this is always something I always tell people that I work with, my team members. It's not about I came to work on Monday and at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock and I left at 6. It's irrelevant, because in the real sense of it, it's not about clocking in and clocking out. It's about when you were there for those 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is, what value did you bring there? All right. So the big question is, how can you bring even more value today, right? How can you bring even more value today, and how can you with each the value you are bringing, how can you improve yourself? Because for every time you can improve yourself, you can technically earn more at that job or at another job, if I'm making sense. So for example, just a random thing happened. I was on a recruitment with a young lady, and she was complaining about she worked somewhere, they wouldn't give her work to 4 o'clock at a law firm, and then when it was 4 o'clock, almost 5 o'clock, they would now start giving her work, and she was upset about that. And I could empathize with the whole, oh, you're married, man, you want to go home to your husband. Yes. But I said, were there other things wrong at the office? Yes. Were there things you could have done between 8 and that 4 o'clock? She said yes. Did you do them? No. I said, you're not bringing value to them. You're not bringing value to yourself, because you've missed an opportunity to grow, to upskill, to be better. Because for every time you are doing something at work, guess what? That is something you can write on your CV and say, I did this and I know how to do it. Because the truth is, you skilled up with the opportunity to be able to do that at work. You brought value to the firm. I said, in fact, you would have brought so much value to the firm that you say, I want to leave. And they'll say, no, don't leave. It takes a while to get there. But the truth is, when you are so valuable, you want to leave, they're saying, you know what? Let's have a discussion. I want you to stay. And not a lot of people are able to do that, because they're not bringing optimum value there. It's the case of he left, get another one. He left, get another one. And that is also a feedback to you in terms of, am I bringing as much value as I could here? Am I also using this opportunity at work to become better? Some of our places give us access to the internet. Am I scaling up? Am I skilling up? Am I able to do? Am I saying there's a computer, but I don't know how to use Microsoft Word well? Am I saying nobody taught me, so I'm going to sit down and not be better? You are the one who is losing opportunities to get better, because in today's world, a lot of people are interested in being successful, being better. So people are taking more effort to skill up. So you have to say, I'm competing with a lot of people. How can I be better in being able to scale up so that I can offer myself as a product or service to my clients, which would be your customers externally, or your customers internally, which is your co-workers and your boss and whatnot. So I think that would be how I would summarize my last word to workers in view of celebrating workers.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that tip. We need to upskill. Let's make the most of this lockdown to better ourselves so that we can deliver optimum value to our clients, to our employers. I think that's a challenge for us workers. So a happy Workers' Day to everybody. I want to say a big thank you. Please let's have all the hearts coming out. Let's show some love to our special guest, the money behavior strategist, Mrs. Tolu Dima Okoje. It has been a wonderful session. Me, I'm here clapping. Woo! Yeah, thank you so much. We really enjoyed that. And if you came late or you're just dropping in a question, like I said, some of these questions that I'm seeing, some of the questions have already been answered. So don't worry, you'll be able to actually watch a replay of it in the stories. If you're not already following African Alliance, please do that. Follow us, slide into the DM, and we'll be happy to answer all the questions. So it's TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Happy New Month. Happy Workers' Day. And a big special shout out to all the frontline workers out there, the health care professionals risking their lives to make sure that we stay safe. So please, let's all stay safe. Let's practice social distancing, and we will make it out of this pandemic. Again, big thank you to our guest, and big thank you to everyone who has joined in this session. It has definitely been very enlightening and engaging. And that's where we'll be saying bye-bye. Thank you so much. My name is Isabella Akinshe, and it's been my pleasure hosting you this afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.